Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It is great to have you on with us. And when we get together, we give you advice to navigate your life in all different ways. Kathy Slagter is back with us, and she's somebody that helps people with addiction and recovery, but at the same time, life in general. Tips to move your life forward, because she's done a lot in her life. I have to say that her website is one Neigh at a time.com. And when we say Neigh, we mean Neigh as in what a horse says, Neigh. And I have to say congratulations, because 10 years sober, you celebrated that anniversary just a few days ago, right, Kathy?
It was so much fun. I love celebrating that even more than my own birthday, because it's an accomplishment that I did. It's not something that I was just came out of my mother and here I am. It was something that I've worked, and I do work today very, very hard to get to what healthy looks like. And that's, different for everybody. And it's always changing.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. It's an interesting point. When we celebrate our birthdays, yes, we're celebrating us, the fact that we're here. But when you celebrate the milestone that you just passed up, there was a lot of work that went into that, a lot of self-realization and your addiction issues. And you've shared them with us before, that they go back many, many, many years. This isn't just you picked up a glass or a bottle a few years ago and you made a change. It began decades ago. So it's a
who I was. Yeah, it became who I was as a teenager, all the way to, my married life, and who I was as a mother and a wife and a bestie, a friend, a partner in crime, all those fun things. So, it became who I was, and I had to learn how to, as my shirt says, let it go. And, that's not an easy thing to, transform your life.
Why don't we focus on let it go? Because I saw that in looking at your website, oneneighatatime.com, where the first time we even talked, I saw you wearing a shirt, and and by the way, we should tell people that part of the recovery process that you help people with is using horses, because yes. And we'll get to that in a sec, but I'm looking at you in a pen with a horse. The horse is in the background, you're in the foreground, and I look in the back of the shirt, and your shirt says, let it go. 3 words that resonate so much for all of our lives. And it could be anything, but not always easy to let it go, right?
Right. It's interesting that you say background and foreground, because that's what Gestalt is all about and all around, is being able to look at where we were compared to where we'd like to go. And, so much trauma is held inside of our bodies that in order for it to get out, like say behind me is a bookshelf. If it's filled with all kinds of books, we take the bad, the books that we've read before, and we go through it, or maybe the books we didn't like so much, we take them out and we replace them with better books or newer books or whatever. And that's kind of what we have to do inside of our bodies. The cells of our bodies hold a lot of trauma, and it holds our past. And, some of that's not so good for us to keep in there. We might want to take it out and replace it with something new. And that's kind of what recovery and letting it go is all about, is replacing the bad with good. And not just, like I said, you can't just say, stop drinking, or just let it go. Don't worry about it. Those things, you might say them, but they don't work until you work them out of you. And that's what Gestalt is all about. And that's why I think it's so powerful to be, a part of my recovery program was working with the horses and the Gestalt with it.
Let's go back to the connection between the horses. When did you make that connection, how horses can be so beneficial in somebody's recovery?
I knew that horses held and do give us a lot of calmingness, but I never knew how powerful their healing ability was until I started the Touch by Horse program, which is where I'm certified under. And we work in the barn at her place, or goodness, I went to Arizona and Montana. I went all around the places in different barns so that I would understand that it wasn't her horses that were so powerful. It was horses in general. But we were able to watch her coach. And then of course I got to coach and watch other people coach and saw how the horses moved. And once you see them move around a human, you see them, I've said before, a horse pushed me, or you might be walking and saying something and a horse just stands in front of you. And, mostly we walk around it and keep moving until the horse stands in front of you again and you walk around it. Well, what's it telling you? What's that horse telling you that you keep walking around? We more than likely are doing that in your talking, in your heart, in your life, in your relationship. I saw a horse hug a human when she was discussing her relationship and a big trauma that happened in her relationship, and literally put his whole body around her whole body. And, it's amazing what they can do. I've seen the horses pick up, like Gestalt is a part of an empty chair where you might have something in a chair and the horse has picked up the item in the chair and thrown it away. And that's exactly what, kind of like let it go. She had to let whatever it was that was on that chair, maybe a person or a thing or addiction, and let it go. So it felt the negative energy that was being transferred onto that, whatever it is, whether it's a space or, if you're walking in one direction and you turn and walk in another direction. And that's kind of what our minds do. We can start thinking positively, and then all of a sudden the negative thought will start to come in and
Totally.
Oh
yeah. It's horrible. And it's almost like a training process where you have to abolish those negative thoughts. You're going to have them anyway. We're human. That's what happens. But to your point about horses and animals in general, like even my dog, I never realized, and I've always had cats. Cats are different than dogs. I love cats, but until I got my dog,
right.
what a difference. And
until you get a kid, then you'll have a difference between a dog and you too. So
well, kids came first, then the dog came, and there's times where the dog comes in handy, but
right.
even laying down on the couch, I had minor surgery here. To your point, how they can help you heal, right away, he comes running up to me and he's trying to lick, and that's his way of healing something. How do they know? How does that animal know? And that's a dog. I mean, a
energy. Energy.
Is it?
Everything has energy. Everything. Every part of our body, every cell, even rocks have energy. Things have energy, and it's the energy that comes out of our cells, or we give it. I mean, we give things and people a lot of our energy. For me, how much energy I gave to my addiction to, I'll just say my bottle of vodka, that ran my life instead of me running my life. And relationships can run your life. Your jobs can run your life. Maybe even you work out to an extent that you shouldn't be working out, or body image runs your life. There's so many things that run us, and, our job is to get a hold of, get control of, grab our power back in order to, find our true purpose and meaning in our life.
Yeah. And we might not even realize that we've lost control of that, because you just do life. You're stuck in, I guess, a rut. I don't want to use that cliche, but you're just doing your life every single day. It's kind of the same thing. And you don't realize that maybe you're not living, you're alive, but maybe you're not alive,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I never started my life saying I wanted to be an alcoholic, that's for sure. So,
Sure.
It finally got to a point where I've said this, I couldn't move. I couldn't even wake up in the morning and have a cup of coffee anymore. It had to be vodka in order to even have my cup of coffee. So it was way before anything else in my life. And gosh, I remember the first time I drove my mom someplace at 6 o'clock at night. And I said to her, Mom, this is probably the first time I've driven in 3 years sober this late at night. And she looked at me like, you're kidding me. I'm like, no, I mean, I can't remember the last time I got in a car in the evening and knew that I had full capacity to drive.
Wow.
And she just was like, wow. That's a lot of your life being taken by that fear of, how many times I got in my car knowing I shouldn't be in my car. And I just took off anyway, because I wanted to, I don't know, prove that I wasn't drunk.
Yeah.
Do
you think, now I wonder, and I have a question for you, Kathy, based on that. Do you think that you drove at that time because you wanted to say to yourself, no, I'm not drunk, I can drive? Or did you know that you were definitely under the influence and just wanted to prove it to yourself that, yeah, I can drive?
I never, one of the things I didn't like to do was drive drunk, because I was really, really afraid of being caught by the police and going to jail. So if I could not do it, I didn't do it. If I got in the car, I was always very conscious of the fact that I shouldn't be behind the wheel. So I wasn't trying to prove to myself or anybody else that I could drive. What I was probably trying to prove was that I wasn't drunk.
Okay.
Other people, I didn't want anybody else to know that I was incapacitated and I shouldn't be driving. So I drove to pretend that I was sober.
Right. Because if you can drive, right. If you can drive, I'm not drunk. Yeah.
Right.
I'm fine because I can drive. I'm good. See,
right.
Look at me.
Right. I made it. Yeah. Yeah. But it wasn't, I made it to them. It was more of, I made it to me even to, sometimes, because the world out there didn't always know that I drank 24/7.
Right.
So on at 4:00 in the afternoon, if my kids called and said, hey mom, come pick me up at school because my buddy didn't show up. I didn't want to say to them, I'm drunk, I can't pick you up. I would say, okay, I'll be there in a little bit. And I'd go to I'd go get some gum, or I'd go brush my teeth, or I'd do whatever I could. I'd drink some water. And then God forbid, I got in the car and drove and picked them up. And whether they could, they were kids, they probably couldn't smell anything. They were just grateful they got picked up. But, I'm sure that I'm sure they could smell alcohol on me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want them to know that I, at 4:00 in the afternoon, already had, a good buzz going, and only because I had to, not because I really wanted to even. It was, at that point, because I had to.
One thing I do want to point out, at least my personal opinion, with life's stress and challenges, it's so easy to go down that road. Like a lot of us will turn and say, that'll never be me. I'll never, turn into an alcoholic or start taking, prescription meds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say that. I think if somebody says that,
I didn't start out wanting to be one. That's for sure.
Right. And it's life gets in the way sometimes. I'm sure it's not you per se, you were the chosen one that started drinking. I'm sure life situations were there, and then that's where it began. So I don't think any of us could ever say that, that'll never be me. You never know.
We can go at something that's not even a thing, and that's depression. Depression can hit us. And now all of a sudden I'm in bed one day, and 2 weeks from them, I'm in bed 2 days, or I'm walking around, with such a depressive state that I don't even understand, I'm negative all the time, or I'm crying all the time, or I'm, there's so many things depression can do, and the darkness just starts to overcome us.
Yeah.
And we, and you're so afraid to look at it, or don't know how to fix it, or, the next step is medicine many, many times. And, maybe medicine isn't actually due. It's looking at what started your depression. So it was 2 years ago. I just had a call from a lady yesterday that 10 years ago, she started a depressive state. So, where are we going to work at? We're going to work at what life was like before she started feeling depressed. And then, from there, what changed? And, sometimes we don't even know until we really, truly go back to it and figure out. And it could be as simple as, as something you're eating. I don't know, or more than likely it's a trauma of some sort, a change in your life, a change in your system, a change in, the way you view life.
But
And
whatever it is, Kathy, I think you probably agree that when you have that situation, I'm gonna crack a beer.
right.
I'll just have another one. And
Yeah.
now you've 3 days later in that state of just, depressive state, and you've had four. I'm like, all right, not so bad. And then it's the snowball down the hill. You actually just mentioned something related to food, and we have instant feedback. You can always reach us, by the way, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. And this
Okay.
is from Patricia, who is in Connecticut. She says, I'm overweight. I know I have a food addiction. Is that something that you can help with? And what would be the starting point?
Yes. First of all, any addiction is something that I can help you with. Any trauma that you're going through, and food addiction is your body and health and what you feel it needs and what it doesn't need. And I'm not going to tell you what to eat or how to eat it or anything like that. Those are your choices. You get to do that. So I would love for you to contact me. You can email me at Kathy, Kathy at oneneighataTime.com, or go on my Facebook page and PM me. Or DM or whatever that right word is. I'm on there all the time too. Putting, putting things on there that help people to look at their lives differently. But yeah, I would say coaching, Zoom coaching, like we're kind of doing now, talking about it, going deep into, your feelings around it. One of the things we might make a little, like a piece of the pie, 8 pieces of the pie, and what are in those pies. And even for food addiction, it's a lot of emotional, it's a lot of trauma, it's a lot of what you eat, it's a lot of your exercise, it's a lot, where do you start? I'm not gonna, it's your choices, not mine, but I will help you build a good foundation to begin, a different way of life, a different way of viewing what you can do. And, I said 10 years of sobriety. Somebody else, when I went for my 10-year, somebody was there for their very first meeting, and I get coins and AA. I don't give coins out here, but how cool was that? Here I am getting 10 years and somebody's getting a day. It seems like just yesterday I was getting a day, and here I am 10 years later with so much in between those dots,
Instead of coins, this is how my brain works. Sometimes goofy ideas come out. You should give out horseshoes.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Lucky.
Yep, that'd be great.
So, question based on what Patricia wrote in about food addiction. They say that we have relationships with food, and that can be good, that can be bad. Would you say you had a relationship with alcohol?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. I called it my best friend.
Wow.
Forever. It was the one I went to for courage, for depression, for happiness, for going to, I've said I'm an introvert, so going to a meeting or going to a luncheon, or boredom, friendships. When I go, it created space in between the spaces that I didn't know what to do with. The quietness inside of me, it became something to go to. And, at the end, gosh, I remember watching, I don't know, Good Morning America, one of those that they drink in the morning. And I was like, wow, all right, cool. 7 a.m. I can have a cocktail too, if they can. It was like, Good Morning America. Here I am drinking with you. I felt a part of them, even though they didn't even know I was out there. But that gave me permission to drink in the morning. And, my mind created so many ways to make it all right, even though I knew it was wrong, which is, eating addiction, which is gambling, which is, there's so many things, depression.
Yeah.
It's,
and with depression, it's, some people want to be on meds, some people don't. It's especially now more than ever. You can't even, that's why your value comes in so much. If you're looking for a therapist now, or a psychiatrist, or a counselor, they are overwhelmed. It's almost impossible to find somebody. I guess it depends on your area as well.
right.
because so many people, because of COVID, because of stress and all of that, are dealing with different situations now.
I live in the country, which makes it a little bit more difficult maybe to get to me. You might take you 45 minutes to drive to me if you're in my area, which is in Michigan, Delton. But even flying here or whatever it is to get here, spending a weekend with me, spending you and me together with the horses out in my barn for 3 days is powerful. I'll work with you on your temperament. We'll work on visions. We'll work on your trauma. We'll work on 20 different things in just a small little bit of time. And you walk out of here just blown away with all the things that you learned about yourself. And the horses keep our energy all balanced, so that you might feel really weak because you used a lot of energy and stress to get healing, to find that healing. And the horses can work on us as we're doing that, but they show us so much that you would never be able to do. I would never be able to tell you everything that they show us, but in person, feeling their energy is just, there's just nothing like it. Just, like coming home to your dog. And many people can, they had a stressful day and all of a sudden your dog's jumping on you and licking on you and saying, "Hey, I'm so happy you're home." Now all of a sudden you go, I can breathe.
I can't wait to go home and watch TV with my dog tonight. I know it sounds goofy.
No, it doesn't at all.
And even last night, and going through some challenges on my side, I lay down and then he jumps up into the bed. I'm like, yeah, okay, hey buddy, how's it going?
How's it going? And I have a little doggy behind me here. She's with me almost every phone call, and she is an emotional dog. She knows when she climbs on my heart like this a lot of times when I'm sad. I might be a coach that wants to help other people with their healing, but I go through my own emotional trauma situations. And, whenever I feel like,
you're human, Kathy, you're human.
I am. And that's what makes being a coach so much fun, is because I heal when I help somebody else too, and if you're in a group setting, you might not be the focus, but you're going to heal through somebody else's healing too. And, I have groups on FaceTime or Zoom. I have groups on that too. So you can go to my website or contact me and I can tell you which group would fit you best. And, like I said, the personal retreats, I'd love to have you out at the barn and working through your stuff. You might go to a therapist for a year, and in one weekend we can go through those things, boom, 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 and get them out in the open, and and have that energy of them change in a weekend. How more powerful is that than I'll see you next week.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not minimizing it, going to a therapist or whatever.
No, I have my own therapist. I see a therapist still. I believe in a lot of modalities of healing.
But this is a different approach to it. And it's interesting when I think of a horse, or I'm personally around a horse, I'll be honest with you, I get intimidated. This animal is so big. I'm a man. I'm going to admit it. I'm kind of scared of a horse. I'm very careful around it. I don't want to get kicked. I don't want to, a headbutt or whatever it is, because I'm uneducated. I don't know about them. I don't know how to react to it. And the horse is probably thinking, what a jerk. Look at him. What's he worried about? I'm not going to do nothing. But that's my mentality. And I think a lot of other people feel that way. Hands down. I think the animal is insanely intelligent, majestic, but I'm very careful around a horse, and probably don't need to be so much, right?
Right. I mean, even if you take the horse out of what you just said, it could be a new person, a new circumstance, a new way of living, a new, like for me, when you went into recovery, when anybody changes their way of living, many things change. And, the horse can feel that and will help us move through it a little differently than a human can. And why not add more? Why not add more to it than, just like you said, your dog, each night is better because you have him in your life. Well, each session is better because there's a horse in my life. There's a horse's view along with my view. So you get two of us,
You know what you just said, I think is so powerful. And like, I didn't even admit it. And I started talking about my intimidation around a horse, that I'm afraid of it. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know how it's going to react. And you said that could be a situation, that could be a person, that could be a situation, that could be whatever. We talk about the temperaments of people and horses. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. I might have you start outside of, not even with the horse, outside of what I call a round pen, with the horses inside the round pen.
Sure.
You might start on the outside before I'd put you in if you were intimidated by the horse, but then we would look at what else you're intimidated by.
Yeah.
And how did you conquer that? What do you do to conquer those things? So, that your conversation just there, I don't know if I can go in there. It starts a whole, a path of what's intimidating to you,
Yeah. It could be, like you said, it could be life changes, all of that. I can't believe we're out of time. I'm looking, and no disrespect, I'm looking at the timer, like, is it really what it says it is? But it does say what it says. So Kathy, tell everybody one more time your website and what they can find when they go there and how you can help them out.
All right. My name is Kathy Slagter, and I'm an equine gestaltist. And my website is www.neigh@a-time.com. And I live one day at a time. You can contact me or go get my VIP email list started there, and or contact me through an email, Kathy, Kathy @oneneigh@a-time.com.
Always great having you on. It's I think a mental realization for a lot of us when we talk, I hope, because I get something from it. I realize, in myself and other people, it centers around horses, but it's so much larger than that. And I look forward to talking to you again, Kathy. And what are the 3 words?
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. Yep.
You can do it. Let it go. Thanks again, Kathy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. You too, Steve.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back.
Have you ever wondered how a horse could help you in your recovery? Well, my name is Kathy Slagter, and I'm an equine master gestaltist. And what I do is help you find your passion and purpose in your recovery. My website is www.oneneigh@a-time.com. And you may also contact me through email at Kathy with a K, ATHY @oneneigh@a-time.com. Can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you in the barn.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.